Over the past few weeks on this channel, I've been covering quite a few indie games. Some of them are top of the line with developers working their asses off to scare the player at any moment, while other indie games are, they're technically considered games if you really think about it. But indie games as a whole is a type of gaming genre that I absolutely adore. I think that small developer teams that release the most out-of-the-box ideas can lead to extremely charming and enjoyable games that over time can absolutely blow up in popularity and change the gaming industry as we know it. And the case with it being indie horror is no different at all. Popular games like Cry of Fear was created as a simple Half-Life mod in the Gold Source engine, but after a while since the game's release, it picked up a tremendous amount of popularity due to the development's team. Nope, not even gonna try to pronounce their name, I already know that I will butcher it. For their take on psychological horror and a character versus self type conflict can carry a game. Or if you want to talk about games that completely changed the course of horror, Five Nights at Freddy's started off with nothing. Scott Cawthon before FNAF just had the most unappealing Christian games that nobody ever liked. But after taking the criticisms about how the models looked like animatronics, Scott was able to create these jump scare yet memorable characters that have been in over half a dozen games and even a spin-off movie. God, who would have even known that the world needed a FNAF parody starring Nicolas Cage? But without indie horror, a lot of the shit that we would see in pop culture would just not exist. And that's very much the case with the classic indie icon known as Slender Man. Slender Man is a public domain creepypasta that became very popular in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Unlike other creepypastas of the time like Jeff the Killer or Suicide Squidward or any other demented yet stupidly funny looking character, Slender Man became mainstream in terms of popularity fairly quickly. I wouldn't say all the popularity was due to positive actions in the Slender Man name. As we all know, Slender Man over the recent years has become popular once again due to a bunch of 14-year-old dimwits stabbing each other in the woods thinking that there's some sort of cult, or when Slender Man had such an overhyped shit movie twice. But at the very least, Slender Man quickly became a staple, with it inspiring other popular games like Baldi's Basics, Granny, and even fucking Minecraft. Slender Man very much made it big through their most popular release, Slender Man and the 8 Pages. With it being a very simplistic fetch quest game with a nameless protagonist, the game did actually very well with making the player very unsettled at every waking moment. This simple concept of just finding 8 pieces of paper becomes this difficult task, as the more pages you find within this dimly lit forest, the more aggressive Slender Man becomes. And if you look at him, it's game over. Slender Man and the 8 Pages has been out for over 10 years at this point, with the hit game being released on June 26 of 2012. With newer Slender Man games with a genuine story coming out later this year and also in 2023, I want to take a look at the game that really jump-started Slender Man's career. I would also like to take a look at the 2020 remake of the game, as I've heard some pretty mixed opinions about the remake. So with that said, sit back, relax, and watch as... Oh god, no, don't, no, what the fuck is that?
Slender the 8 Pages is an indie first-person survival horror game. It features the player needing to collect 8 pages. Why? I don't know. Once you do find all the pages, Slender Man will scare you one last time and the credits will roll, effectively beating the game. This game was created in 2012, and today I'll be seeing if it holds up by today's standards, and if it was ever a good game at all. The game starts off with the player stuck in a forest, aimlessly wandering around. It's pitch black in the middle of the night and you only have a flashlight with limited charge at your disposal. You're seemingly alone until you eventually come across a page in the middle of the forest. You find out that you need to find 8 pages in order to win. The more you progress through the game, the music subtly gets louder, the fog all around you grows thicker, and you experience some TV static on your screen. Eventually, you'll look behind you or turn a corner and Slender Man will be there, standing still and watching you. If you look at him for too long, you'll be killed. With all that said, he isn't much of a threat. If you do happen to see him, you just need to turn around and walk away. He doesn't walk towards you or anything. But I think that's what elevated the horror. You have this uneasy feeling that you're being watched as soon as you load into the game, and once you do find Slender Man, even if avoiding him is relatively simple, it is still scary to see him staring at you whilst you panic and walk in the other direction. The game works to try to build a scary environment and atmosphere. It's simple, and that's what I like about horror. Too many times horror games nowadays will try to go over the top and get over ambitious, but Slender was simple and scary for its time. A lot of people are gonna say this, so I might as well address it. Does the game look like shit? It's fine. When I launched the game, I was able to change the quality and I put it at simple, middle of the road graphics. I decided to try out fantastic graphics and it looked a whole lot better. Sure, some of the textures on the trees looked a bit off, and Slender Man himself doesn't look that great either, but when I was constantly in a dark environment, I wasn't too fazed by it. I'd go as far as to say that the low quality of the game adds to the scariness. The low quality makes the environment look dirty, grainy, and just uncomfortable to be in, which is what makes the horror aspects of the game so effective. Hell, even some films intentionally lower the quality to achieve the same effect, like the Blair Witch Project for example. When Tidecast messaged me to be a part of this video, he was like, "It'll be a breeze, trust me. The Slender Man AI is so old, you'll be fine." But no, it's still decently scary and the sound design is very effective. Now, before I give the game too much credit, I should probably talk about one of the worst parts of the game that makes it even more difficult, and that's mostly due to the fact that 99.9% of your screen is pure darkness. This is where I would get all philosophical and say that it adds to the overall atmosphere, but it doesn't. I can't even tell where I'm going half the time and it gets really annoying really quickly. And it doesn't help that the more you progress through the game, the darker it becomes. It was just overall much more frustrating than it was scary. But anyway, that's my segment. Here's Tidecast for the 2020 review.
The Slender Man 2020 remake came out from the small development team known as Patriarch Games, with this being their first ever recorded release if you take a look at their Steam page and also Metacritic. I really don't know anything about this development team at all. Like, I don't know who was in this team, I don't know any of the past work at all, I don't know anything. All I do know is that they were able to recreate the Slender Man and the 8 Pages on the Unreal Engine 4 as a type of fan service. Slender and the 8 Pages remake came out almost 2 years ago at this point and is still considered to be an early access on both Steam and in the game. And if I'm being honest, I'm really hoping that once this game releases completely, everything in it gets changed up, as this remake just sucks. Like, I really don't know if this was just me having a very high expectation due to a nostalgia buildup of a classic game, but I shit you not, this game is so unpolished and so ugly and just such a pain to play. And it sucks too, because I was really excited to play this game. I mean, a modern day Slender game that's not some knockoff daughter version or some shitty mobile game, that's pretty exciting to see. But even after just 5 minutes of playing the game, I knew that this review was gonna be mostly negative. So where do we start with the game? Well, the game first starts off with a girl monologuing how she got into the scenario and why she has to collect all 8 pages. It's due to her and her mom moving into a park only for the mother to feel like she's being watched and dies a week later with her journal missing. So it's up to you to figure out what killed her and why the journal has been taken. This is honestly the best part of the game. Like, I am willing to look over the fact that whoever recorded this did not have a pop filter and that every P or T sound overloaded the microphone just because there's an actual voiced lore in Slender Man. But anyways, you load into the world and goddamn, the game just looks awful. You have a choice between setting the game at night or at daytime, but have fun doing nighttime as you won't see jack shit even with your amazing flashlight. And if you try to turn up the gamma, you're met with an ugly purple looking lighting. So we gotta do daytime where you can see the trees and plants render without any fog masking it. Come on dude, fucking Silent Hill 1 perfected the fog render on the PlayStation 1 over 20 years ago. Oh, and not to mention the game caps off at 30 frames per second, and I had quite a few lag spikes in the game, so just have fun with that. But anyways, just like the objective of the first Slender Man game, the goal is to roam around until you find 8 pages that are randomly placed on the map. I like the randomness of the pages, but I gotta be honest though, I really wouldn't replay the game, but it's a cool small feature, I gotta say. What's not a cool feature is the design of the map. It is so boring. Most of the time, you will just be looking at trees and tree. It just makes wandering the map feel so tedious. Like, add a river or a rundown house or something to make this look interesting. And the point of interest that have the pages are also very boring too. Like, you'll just see a random tunnel that doesn't even need to be there. You know, usually when you're adding a tunnel in real life, you have to have it go through something, but that's whatever. Oh, and there's also a spot that just looks like a giant concrete X. Why this is here and what purpose this is have in this woods, I don't know, but there's an X if you want it. And even just the one singular building in this game, the restroom, is just a giant concrete block. This map design is just bad. There's nothing that feels natural here. And speaking of bad design, look what they did to my boy Slender Man. He looks like just a giant action figure, bro. What the fuck is this? Look at this. Look at how he runs. Why does he run like this? Why does he teleport? What is this? Dude, this Slender Man is not scary. What the hell is this? It's so not scary in the fact that when you die and you look at him, a high-pitched noise plays in your ear and it fucking deafens you. Oh, and it's even less scary somehow when Slender Man tries to run at you and fucking pushes you because the pathfinding is so broken. I'm telling you all this right now, the one and only time I screamed and jumped at this game was not because Slender Man did something scary to me. No, it was because he kept pushing me into a goddamn rock that was on the ground and made me stuck, which killed me after spending 30 minutes trying to beat the game. It's literally just a headache playing this. I don't recommend it. And that's really all that's in this remake. It's very much just a jumbled mess, and I had little to no fun playing it. Is it worth the $3 on Steam to go ahead and play the remake of the beloved game Slender Man? No, don't sink any money into this. In fact, the original Slender Man game is still free on its website, with other links to download it being available on places like Reddit. So if you really wanted to play a Slender Man game, no matter if you agreed or disagreed with this video, just go ahead and go get the older version. Its price will never change, and they're still updating and fixing the bugs of the original game to this day. So like, it's just not worth it to buy an already free game to play. In conclusion, go play Slender Man 2012 if you want a boost of nostalgia for 30 minutes or so. Like I said, I don't recommend spending money on an already free game, so just go ahead and forget that the 2020 version just ever existed. But with that said, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked this video, maybe hit that like button and... What the fuck? You guys saw that too, right? There's like... What the fuck? I don't know if you can see it, but... What the fuck is this shit?